You may not believe it. You may not want it, but you're going to get it anyway. We're back.
Absolutely.
After a hiatus for the holidays, of course, celebrating the Lord's birth and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Got to observe all holidays.
One day what to do when I'm home. We'll figure out the setup and all eventually for when we're near each other.
I know, yeah. It was just like you came home and we were just like, all right, well, I guess we'll cancel the show for a while here. But we're back for the important part, right? You guys can forget all of our bad takes and calling the Ravens pretenders and all that stuff. We can forget about that.
They're still pretending.
And just move right into the playoffs. So it was a wild ending. We had a wild week. And maybe, honestly, the most surprising thing that happened all week, out of all the playoffs, out of all of the destructions, out of all the firings, happened this morning with Mike Vrabel being fired. Yeah. Something I did not see coming at all.
Yeah, poor move by the Titans, I feel like. Did you see Taylor Lewan's reaction on the Rich Eisen show?
No.
He was like, because they got word mid-show that he's like, what? He's like, I love everyone there, but this is a poor decision right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me wonder if there's going to be more information that comes out later on. If there was some kind of leak of information or something that Vrabel knew about the place he used to play. If there was something that came out about New England that he possibly knew about, and that maybe the Titans kind of knew he was leaving. But in that case, it would have been a mutual parting ways, I feel like. But it's strange because the ownership there said, a few weeks ago, that they were hanging on to him and they were going to keep him around. There was, that everybody was on the same page. And then this comes out of nowhere. And really makes you wonder, especially after a pretty inspired win that meant nothing, but those guys love him. That team loves him.
Our Steelers fans were out and about in Tennessee this weekend. Did you see their little sections of terrible towels? I loved it.
Yeah, that was crazy. But I mean, still, it's just insane, and he will get picked up immediately. He will not be unemployed for long, and hopefully he'll be headed to Landover, Maryland to be the Washington Commanders' new head coach.
You think? And then you'll hop off the Ravens again?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that's what I'm hoping for. It's I'm happy with the way things are going right now. Pretty happy.
Jim Harbaugh comes to Washington.
The thing is I don't want
live in the same state. Oh, no, it's the story.
He'd kind of want that too because he's a lunatic.
Yeah,
that's my problem with him is that there's no doubt he's a great coach, but I think his style is much more, I guess, durable, more trying to think of the word.
I think it's more of a college style kind of.
Yeah, I think he's very intense. He has a tendency to kind of just really go hard at players, and I think we saw in San Francisco that works. And he's a great quarterback developer, but it's a very kind of short burst. So if you get him, you have 5 years of him before his message wears, and I think he's definitely going to the NFL. If I had to guess, my hunch would be San Diego or Los Angeles. I think that's where he's going to go.
You go to if you're a coach out there, you go to LA. You go to Herbert. You go to the best quarterback you have possible, or I don't know. Commanders are interesting because they have the second overall pick. So.
And they got a ton of cap space. They got projected between $74 million and $90 million in cap space. And I mean, you got the start of a new empire basically. And I think Josh Harris has a lot of credit in the bank as far as how he's ran the Sixers and the Devils and how he's ran the team for the last, few months that he's had it. He kind of was a man of his word as far as just taking a step back and watching what Ron Rivera does, watching everything that's kind of going on in the operation of the team, and then figuring it out once he kind of has some information. which is far different than what we had with Mr. Snyder, who was very brash, didn't really know what he was doing, was arrogant in knowing that it was arrogant in not knowing what he was doing. And, I think you see that Josh Harris is going to put the right people in charge. Good delegator, and that's what you're looking for. So my hope is now Vrabel's top of my list. I really like Mike McDonald in Baltimore. And I don't know. I'm kind of souring on Ben Johnson. I was a big Ben Johnson guy, and I'm starting to kind of, I don't know.
He was the OC for the Cowboys last year, right? Or is that the Lions guy?
That's Kellen Moore.
No, Kellen
the
Moore.
guy in
So the Lions
LA,
Ben Johnson, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. He's interesting. They looked fantastic last year, but I feel like they petered off a lot late in this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said about, he kind of has maximized the talent of Jared Goff. I think he's maximized the talent of guys who, aren't necessarily top tier guys. Like Matt LaPorta, I think his kind of development as a rookie is a lot to do with him, but it's also Dan Campbell. I think he's a really good coach. And
did you see what LaPorta said?
No.
He said he's going to be the next Aaron Hernandez.
All right, so we got a few more years of really good Matt LaPorta play before he kills his brother-in-law. And so I guess, he did that like 5 years in, I want to say, something like that.
I hope I'm not getting trolled by some post, but I swear I saw a post quoting him saying he was the next Aaron Hernandez.
I feel like that would have made a lot of headlines if that's what he said.
Yeah, I feel like it might have.
Playing-wise, Aaron Hernandez. Let's take a look. Let's fact check you.
Yeah, but this is the casual part of the fans.
Exactly. Doing our fact checking. I'm not seeing anything. I feel like that would have been right up there. They would have been like, how could he have said
that? Yeah, I guess this might be just bait. It was baited.
There's a lot of stuff, especially on Instagram, dude. It's hard to keep track. It's hard to stay professional when you just want to be casual.
Yeah. This dead air is nice, but
I know.
Doesn't look like he called himself the next Aaron Hernandez, so we're gonna retract what we just said.
We'll just skip that part of the whole thing. Dead air is good. Every now and then you need a little time to just let the audience reflect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely for the Commanders would like Vrabel or McDonald, and but you're really just.
You think Belichick actually leaves or gets fired or whatever the hell happens up there? Because I don't know, something about. I think they have a very interesting scenario. Their defense is always great with Belichick. It wasn't the defense's fault they were losing. I think it was more poor quarterback play than anything. And you can get a quarterback with their pick this year. So I think
they need I don't know if you fire him. And I definitely don't think they would at this point. I think it would be like a mutual parting ways or something like that. But I think they need some kind of fresh voices when it comes to personnel and offense. And obviously they need a new quarterback. Matt Patricia was one of the biggest mistakes Bill Belichick ever made, putting him in charge of that offense, and completely broke Mac Jones. So I think you get I think you do need to take his GM badge away from him and give somebody else that power. I don't know how well he would take to that, and I think that's probably what they are meeting about is look, we want to put other people. We need other voices in here because, the talent is just – they're getting sucked out talent-wise. And, so I think if he were to be gone, it would have happened already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, same. I just think to be dumb. A little dumb.
Yeah.
arguably the greatest coach of all time. But sometimes scene changes happen.
We'll see what
I
happens.
saw something
I think
about Mike Tomlin maybe stepping down too.
there's no way. I thought maybe if they
Yeah,
didn't make the playoffs, but now that they made the playoffs, I think he stays there.
but if Mikey T stepped down, it's like, no, only 5 more years of winning ball, and you got like the longest streak ever. Come on.
Yeah, I mean it's funny how they're just still a quarterback away. It's like it's just like they got an elite team, but they just don't have a quarterback to pull it all together. And
We got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We
he's
guided
out
our
here.
play tonight.
Clark Kent.
He guided our play. Took us to the playoffs.
Did you love how he's like
game?
He went from the guy who got like hammer-headed by Myles Garrett to like this like heartwarming story where he's like saying like, you never know when it's going to be your last game. I'm just out there having a good time. And it's like, yeah. But he's bought himself time. He'll be a backup now for the next like 5 years.
Yeah, for sure. The thing is, though, if I really think about it, hot take probably, most people probably won't agree. If you put Kenny in all those games, it looks the same.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying. Because against Cincinnati, the little action we saw him with the new OC, he put up yards. We didn't finish drives, but then the next week he was on pace to put us up 14-0, and then he gets hurt. And then we lose 3 straight because we start the bitch, Mitch, who is just the worst quarterback of all time.
Has Kenny been inactive these past few? Has he been the emergency quarterback?
I think he was active for Baltimore.
He was. Honestly, his gloves probably would have came in clutch.
Because he did the coin toss, actually. He had him out there.
They sent him out there. They were like, get out there. Yeah, how about that Jair Alexander thing where he just sent himself out there to do the coin toss? And like it didn't back off of it. Like got the 1-game suspension and he was just like, it was Jair time. It's like, the hell?
What a stud. What a stud.
Yeah. Did you see him after they clinched the playoffs and he was outside Lambeau? And there was like a local newscast and he was like getting all hyped up. And they thought he was a fan.
Yeah, I did see that. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They were just like, right? Who are you?
This guy's lost his mind. Yeah, but dude, speaking of the Packers, Jair Alexander. I guess should we do our picks? How do we want to do this, by the way? This is a nice little inside baseball for all the fans.
Brackets? Should we do a little
do we want to do the whole thing or do we want to do week by week? Do we want to do the whole thing and week by week? Like what do we want to How are we doing this?
We're gonna do the whole thing and week by week. Let me pull up a bracket.
All right.
Real quick, and I can screen share this. We'll get a little fancy on these people.
Hell yeah. Like a class. Like we're on a work Zoom call.
It's like a work Zoom call. There you go.
I'll
talk about Cleveland. Actually, let's start with the 7 seed and the AFC. Pittsburgh, Buffalo. I can't draw. I did find that out.
All right.
But Pittsburgh,
it'll work.
Buffalo.
We got graphics on here now. We're big time.
Yeah, we are big time.
All right, so we got the 7 seed Pittsburgh, 2 seed Buffalo, Miami going to Kansas City, Cleveland going to Houston. On the NFC side, we got Philly going to Tampa Bay. Philly is on a skid of all skids. But we kind of saw that coming. And the Rams going to Detroit, which has the potential to be wild. Very excited for that game.
Electric. A lot of storylines in this first week.
And then Green Bay going to Dallas. So do you want to start? So you want to start with Pittsburgh versus Buffalo?
Yeah. I'll let you go first.
All right. I was really rooting hard, honestly, for Buffalo to get that 2 seed because I got this weird thing about like warm weather environments in football when it comes to playoffs. Like I like to have those. Like I'm so happy it's going to be freezing in Kansas City, freezing in Buffalo. You're going to have snow. Like that's the way it should be, and like a full crowd, like fully into it. Not Miami where the crowd's like 75% full. They're in like tank tops. Like I don't want that. So Pittsburgh at Buffalo. I think that game's going to be actually closer than it seems.
The point spread's like 10.5 right now.
Yeah, I don't know what would make you think Buffalo would do that after Miami. I guess like Josh Allen, I think, has the tendency to just be a turnover machine. If you can get him turning the ball over early, like I think you kind of limit them because then they start to go kind of into this like run heavy offense and they really kind of rely on him to run the ball more, which he can hurt you that way. But I think the Pittsburgh defense is strong enough to kind of force him to make mistakes and force Buffalo to kind of have to play in an uncomfortable fashion. Although you guys are missing TJ Watt, so that's going to be a big blow.
Yeah. And the team without TJ is, the defense becomes one of the worst.
Yeah, it's rough. You know, it's we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's a big thing. And like I still kind of believe in them as far as a unit goes. And like I said, they can get turnovers. But do you trust Mason Rudolph in a playoff game to go up into Buffalo and find a way to win? And I just don't think I'm there yet. So
the storyline's already set. I got it in my head. Mason Rudolph goes out 2 pits instantly. We're down 14-0. They're like, Kenny, get back in there. And then Kenny just goes slinging and dinging.
Hey, Kenny, you froze up there.
I said Kenny just starts slinging it around and pulls it home somehow. That's my
Deontay Johnson, 150 yards. George Pickens, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, just like I said, like Josh Allen can be a turnover machine. I think Pittsburgh just has that ability as well. So, yeah, I think Buffalo wins this game in like a low-scoring affair. I think it's going to be like 20-13. I do think it comes down to like the last possession. I think this game is won on a Mason Rudolph deflected interception. It's deflected by like Ed Oliver, and it's picked off by Jordan Poyer. That's how I think this game ends.
Yeah, you think? I'm taking the Steelers, riding with the boys. Buffalo's they've been getting their wins aren't that impressive recently. Like their offense has been looking real bad. I feel like Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen haven't really been hooking up recently. I know they had a big connection against Miami, but like I don't know. I don't trust Buffalo in the playoffs. I know there was one time they made it to the AFC Championship game, and they've had a lot of clout since then for doing that. But, I mean, they seem to always come up short in the playoffs, and I don't know. I think they're due for a loss here, and I think the Steelers are one of those teams that, like, play up to competition more than they played. And, I mean, they're up and down. They play up to good competition, play down to bad competition. And I think the Steelers will pull it off. I hope Minka has, like, 2 interceptions. We need a defensive touchdown. That's the only way we're winning this game. But I think it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I said, like you were saying there, like, Buffalo's kind of been winning these games in unorthodox ways. And, you know, they, like, beat the brakes off of Dallas, and they threw it, like, how much? He had, like, 75 yards or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, they get in these spurts where they don't really trust Josh Allen. And I think if you get to him early and cause some turnovers, then you can kind of even the playing field. But in Buffalo, the weather like it's going to be, and I think Josh Allen can hurt you with his legs like crazy.
I think
like
the weather plays more into our favor, though, you know?
I don't think it does. I mean, it's one thing if you're playing Miami, but like playing Buffalo, like that's what they They are completely used to that, and so
I know, but I'd say we're the more physical team.
I don't know, man. They've had that, like I said, they've kind of relied on that run game and James Cook, and now they got Lenny Fournette back there pounding away. If you get Fournette, there's like a 70% chance you're winning the Super Bowl, right?
You think
But
that's how it is?
maybe it'll be death by Fournette with you guys again. He seems to have your number, if you remember those Jacksonville days.
No, that's how I'd cry. So we'll move on. You took Buffalo, so, and I took the Steelers, who would then move on to face Baltimore. All right, we'll move on to Kansas City, Miami. You'll go first. I'll be right back in a second, but you can go.
I'll wait for you to get back.
All right. My cookies have arrived.
Oh, boy. What kind of cookies?
I got like 2 oatmeal raisin, 2 snickerdoodles, and like some mint chocolate chip one.
Oh, damn. Spicing it up.
Yeah, dog. I'm about to smack them down. And 2 waters because I need water.
Yeah. Clutch. Is this all like your mom and dad's card?
Huh?
Do you use your mom and dad's card, or do you just use your...
I'm using mine right now.
Oh, nice. I'd be fucking smacking my mom and dad's account the entire... I'd be like...
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I smack the shit out of their credit card.
You have to.
I'm just like, $5,000 PC. Give me that. No, I'm joking.
All right, so Miami, Kansas City.
Yes, in the cold.
Miami.
In like...
In the very cold.
It would feel like.
Yeah. Even before that, I have not been impressed with Miami all year. They just they get absolutely boat raced in Baltimore. It was like inevitable, even when they had the lead last week against Buffalo. It's like you knew they were going to blow it, and they just do not have like that championship medal. They don't have like the offense and Tua. Like they do not operate well when things are close. And Tua is like, he has moments where I'm like, you are not a starting quarterback. Like the throw he made at the end of that game to when Tyreek goes out, they need a first down. And he just throws it into like triple coverage. And he did that a few times against Baltimore. And, I just do not think he's that good. I don't think he's the guy that they can roll with. There's a reason they were interested in Deshaun Watson last, or the 2 off seasons ago or whatever. I just think, Kansas City, as bad as they've been playing, like you said, the bad weather, I don't believe in Miami at all. Although I do think, Mike McDaniel will eventually figure it out with that team. I think this could actually not get it, it could get out of hand, I guess. I see this being like a 31-13 Kansas City win.
Yeah, I see this being Kansas City all day, too. I mean, like you said, Tua in those big games just doesn't seem to be the guy. He always, when you're playing mediocre competition with Mike McDaniels as your head coach, it makes Tua look great some of the time. But then when you get in those big game situations, Tua reverts back to a pumpkin and can't get it done. So I'm going to roll with Patrick Mahomes, probably the best quarterback in the league still. But, his receivers can't catch the ball, so hopefully that doesn't hurt them.
Yeah, he's playing with practice squad receivers.
They'll win, though. They'll win. Patrick Mahomes will run if he has to win that game.
Yeah, he'll do what he has. He'll yell at Kadarius Toney if he really needs to.
Yeah. Moving on. So your next matchup would be Buffalo, Kansas City, in Buffalo.
And we still got Cleveland and Houston.
Yeah. I was just putting that out there. Making sure everyone can follow what's happening.
Into the
right
ether.
now.
Maybe we should just cover the first round matchups and then we'll do the whole bracket, I guess, right now, and then we'll do but we're doing our official predictions. That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing official predictions for this week, but next week it can all change too.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know.
So, Cleveland, Houston in NRG Stadium with CJ Stroud and the Rockin' Texas.
How about that? If you were told at the beginning of the season that there would be a first round matchup between Joe Flacco and CJ Stroud, and CJ Stroud is the quarterback of the higher seeded team, but Cleveland is the favored team. Yeah. What would your reaction be?
I'd be like, this is going to be a wild year, which it was. Yeah. It was an interesting year. I still have no clue what's going to happen. That's why I'm a roll. But I mean, I'm rocking Cleveland here for sure because their defense is just next level. I mean, unless Houston can make this a shootout somehow, I don't see CJ Stroud being able to. He struggles a little bit. His one weakness has been tight man-to-man coverage, and that's what Cleveland does a lot of and does it well. And Myles Garrett will be putting pressure on him all day, I feel like. And I think Cleveland and Joe Flacco are going to walk out of here with a W and then go face the Chiefs again.
Yeah, Houston really struggled against Cleveland in their first matchup this year. Obviously, Stroud was out. But, I mean, he looked really good last week against Indy. That first pass where he just uncorks it to Nico Collins, and it was just right on the money. I mean, he just is very impressive. The ball just jumps out of his hand. And I'm very impressed with him, very impressed with that Houston team. And there's no, shame in them, I think, being division champions and then losing a close one in the first round. That Cleveland defense is ridiculous. It's insane that Ed Stefanski has been able to do, or Kevin Stefanski has been able to do what he's been able to do with just all these injuries and losing your starting running back, losing your starting quarterback, losing Denzel Ward for a period of time, losing Grant Delpit. They just have injuries all across the board. And they've been able to just...
This battle with the two head coaches, the two people going for, head coach of the year or something, the award.
Yeah, I think he's the runaway guy right now. I think he needs to be. I mean, I know he got D'Amico Ryans, I think, too, is probably up there as well. But, to do what he's done with the amount of adversity he's had to face is incredible. And, I definitely say I'm going to have to go. I think it's a close one. I think Cleveland wins 21-17, 24-21, something like that. Yeah. I think it's a close one. But, yeah, I think the better defense wins this one because Houston's just not there yet, but they're close.
Okay, we're gonna stick to the whole AFC side first and then move on over to the NFC. Are you cool with that?
All right.
I just keep running through the games. So your first playoff matchup will go. It would be Baltimore versus Cleveland. You take it there.
The return of Joe Flacco to Baltimore.
To the bang.
That would be insane.
They don't want to see it.
I think I'd have to pay a pretty penny to go to that game because that is that's insane. That would be can you imagine the first quarter of that game, how revved up that place would be?
Dog, if Joe did them dirty, it'd be the most beautiful thing in the world to me.
See, as you said earlier, how I've hitched my wagon to the race. I have hitched my wagon to the local team for the remainder of the playoffs. I went to that game early in the year, and I was like, I'll ride with the Ravens a little bit here because I need that synergy, with the O's and the Ravens. And, I've always wanted that kind of city energy where you have two teams you're rooting for. It's kind of cool, but still Commanders, obviously. But Ravens are fun. What?
That's still Commanders, lol.
Yeah. Forever.
Brutal year.
Brutal. But we're on the up and up. Anyway, riding with the Ravens. They're just on all cylinders right now, are just unbelievable. Lamar's playing at a really high level. Really turned it up a notch, I think, after that Cleveland game, honestly, the one that I saw. He's kind of just reached a new level. He's the offense is moving in, rhythm. He's not being asked a lot about or of being going way off schedule or anything like that. And even when he does, he makes the right play. But it really does feel like he's starting to really get the hang of this offense. Isaiah Likely's killing it as far as taking over from Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers is and Zay Flowers is he's a Coastal boy, isn't he? Yeah. Yep.
Should we try to get him on the show?
We could. After they're Super Bowl champions, we'll be like, Isaiah, can you join the pod?
We'll hit him up for this weekend episode.
Yeah. See if you can get some of your connections in there. See if he'd help.
Yeah, he has a bye. He has a bye this week. We'll get it. We'll try.
Yeah, so maybe he might be down. There can't be that many people looking to interview Isaiah Likely right now, right? They're exactly. Too worried about OBJ and Kyle Hamilton or Zay Flowers.
And I'll be like,
but yeah, I mean, they're just. And this is a hypothetical matchup, so I shouldn't be going too much into it. But I do think Baltimore wins this game. That game last time when Cleveland came to town was rough, and the way it ended, Baltimore should have won that game fairly handily, and Deshaun Watson was healthy at the time. And the wild card here is Joe Flacco. What do you get from him? Baltimore knows very well what he's able to do in January. Yeah, so that's the wild card. But Baltimore should win this game. The biggest difference between them this year and the year that they won or the year that they were the one seed in, was that 2018, 2019?
Yeah.
That was 2019, right?
Yeah, I think
so. And, yeah. And is that they were running a lot more of that kind of read option and the RPO stuff where Lamar was really relying on his legs to beat people, and he's not doing that this year. He's running when he really has to, but he's beating him with his arm. And also their defense is just absolutely locked down right now. So I think Baltimore would win that game handily, I think. So I got Baltimore going to the AFC Championship game. More so the AFC Championship game coming to Baltimore.
Uh-oh. I'll do my Baltimore Steelers prediction here too.
All right, let's see it.
This is what we want to see. If Buffalo don't beat us, we're going to the bowl because we're beating Baltimore again. They always choke against us. They're supposed to beat every team. They beat every team in the NFL. You know what team they're 1-7 against in their last 8 meetings? The Steelers. Because we're dogging on them all the time. They can't handle us. I know it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. I do get that. But this is the year it happens to Baltimore. Again, don't trust Lamar in the playoffs. Never will until he proves something. And I have a feeling they're going to, after, again, taking 3 weeks off, 2 weeks off between games, I feel like it's going to hurt them more than benefit them. Even if it was Cleveland, I'm taking the team that's facing Baltimore in their first playoff game because I do not trust them at all. So
Yeah, that was something that
Steelers to the
I
AFC Championship round.
I was kind of concerned about that as far as, like, I think if the weather was better, I think Lamar probably would have played that first half. Because I agree with you as far as, like, taking all that time off. I just don't know. It's definitely different than baseball, where you talked about, like, how with football, just getting that rest is huge. But if I were John Harbaugh, I'd probably be practicing this week and next week. Like, I wouldn't really be giving, you don't want them to be taking too much time off.
One of those yachts again.
So let's, we'll see what happens. But yeah, that could definitely be a factor of having to deal with rust. Would not be good in the divisional round of the playoffs. All right, so what would my next matchup be?
You got Kansas City and Buffalo playing in Buffalo.
Kansas City and Buffalo, the matchup everybody wants, right? It just keeps happening. Yeah. This year, there's not as much spice around it just because of how both teams have performed. But I think this is the year Buffalo does it. This is the year Buffalo finds a way to get it done. Kansas City's kind of down and out in a way. And I think they need to retool this offseason. I think they know they need to retool this offseason. So I think Buffalo wins that game. They go there in a shootout. And I think they win like 31-27, something like that.
Okay. Mine is Kansas City, Cleveland. And I'm going to also not take Kansas City. I'm going to take Cleveland. They have the best defense one of the best defenses I've seen in a while. And I think Patrick Mahomes, the receivers are going to bite him in the ass this season one more time. Kadarius Toney is a walking drop. And he always somehow drops it into the other people's hands, into the other team's hands. Like, it will just ricochet off him and just go straight to a safety or cornerback or linebacker 90% of the time, it feels like.
Yeah.
And I feel like January Joe, you don't want to see him in the playoffs. He's been playing loosey-goosey, has nothing to worry about. He's just going out there and slinging it, and you can tell because he's throwing for a lot of touchdowns and a lot of interceptions. But I think in the playoffs, he's going to way more touchdowns than interceptions. I think we might see a little revert back to that nice 2011 Joe Flacco playoff run. And I'm going to take the Browns to beat the Chiefs like 28-24 because the Chiefs offense can't get it going until late. And I got the Steelers versus the Browns in the AFC Championship.
The AFC North battle. Yeah. That would be wild. Yeah, it would be in Cleveland. That place would be going nuts. It would be. I'd get my wish as far as getting another cold weather game.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that'd be wild. So, do you want to go with who? I mean, you're going with your. You do your matchup first. Is this where you come down to earth?
Is this where I come down to earth? Do you think this is where I come down to earth? We're in the playoffs. I'm full Yinzer mode right now. Dog. The Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. Here we go, Steelers. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl.
That's the name of this episode is Full Yinzer mode.
Yeah, full Yins. I never lived in Pittsburgh, but the full Yins is coming out because
he's got one of the most rowdy Baltimore accents, and he's a Steelers fan. This man says Warsh, and he's a Steelers fan.
Hell yeah, brother. We're going to the bowl. We were the first team as the 6th seed to go and win a Super Bowl. We're going to be the first team as a 7th seed to go to the Super Bowl. I'm ready to rumble. Rudolph got my son. I'm joking. He's going to get benched after 2 picks.
There you go. Mic drop.
But Steelers bowl.
But
they beat the Browns. We don't lose to the Browns. I mean, we do, but it just isn't in the plans for the Browns to ever win a bowl.
Would TJ Watt be back by that time?
I don't think so. This is all. I mean, without TJ, if I'm being really realistic, I got Baltimore, Cleveland, and then Cleveland gonna beat Baltimore AFC Championship round. But I'm rolling with the Steelers until they're out.
You have to.
Until this
You have to go full
Sunday.
Yinzer mode. Yeah.
I'm saying Steelers to the bowl.
Steelers to the bowl. All right, so mine is what? Ravens, Bills?
Yeah. In the bank.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one because I think the Bills right now are the team that's hot. They're kind of that team that like was struggling, and they haven't really found it yet. But in the playoffs, they could just be that gritty team that figures it out. The Ravens have just been. What worries me about the Ravens is what we kind of talked about is how hot they've been, and is that momentum going to kind of come to a screeching halt? You very rarely see that team that just goes on the run like they have, where they're just beating all the good teams and winning all the matchups they're not supposed to, and then actually translating into the playoffs. It does pain me to say it, but I do have the Bills winning that game. I think Josh Allen.
For me, if the Ravens can avoid any AFC North team, they're going to the bowl.
Yeah, I just think that the Bills remind me of that Titans team in a way. In the way that, like, if they decided to just run the ball and run the ball and run the ball, and they're able to run it effectively, I don't know what kind of effect that would have on the Ravens. Now, it's been really hard to run on the Ravens. But if you add Josh Allen to that mix, I think it just adds a whole new aspect to it. So that could be the thing. So I want to say Ravens, but I'm going to go Bills. Bills going to the Super Bowl. I got to strap on my analyst cap here. I got to strap on my non-biased hat here. Somebody here's got to be the one down to earth.
I mean, I just don't want to say the Ravens are going to. I wouldn't even be saying that. I doubt either. If it's not the Steelers,
I do think the Bills have a good chance. I think the Bills have a really good chance. So that's mine.
Yeah, they do.
All right, do we want to save the NFC for next episode? So we have something to.
Yeah, we can. We can.
And we're going to leave a little cliffhanger so people will watch.
Episode.
Yeah.
I got cancer. I'm joking. But
and my goal for the next episode is to have a desk up here, so I actually have a better place to sit. Because this is really annoying me. It's like honestly part of the reason I was like, I think we kind of laid off is because I don't have a desk to just sit at. So I'm going to try and move some things around and see what I can do. And hopefully we'll be a little more official next time through. All right.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I'm about to call 911.
My goal is to have earphones by next time. So we're all working here. All working to get.
We all have something to attain. All right, my friend. That was a good first episode back.
Yep. Ran through our whole AFC. You got the Bills. I got the Steelers/Browns.
Tune in next week for the NFC. To be continued. And we'll be back.
To be continued.
We will not leave you guys.